guys, and welcome back to Hot Girls Eat Carbs. I'm your host, Brittany McChrystal, and I am so glad you're here, whether you're out on a walk, making your morning coffee, driving to work, or standing in the sink doing the dishes, thinking about your life. This is your cozy corner of the internet. I hope everybody is having a wonderful week. Thank you for tuning in. So, not a lot has been happening over the last week. It is the Australian Open, however, at the moment, which looks really, really fun. I still have not been. I think it's been about a week now that it's been going, and I can't wait to get down there. I actually can't lie. Like, it just looks like such a fun time. But it's really interesting. It's actually something that I wanted to touch on today because, yeah, I've been seeing everybody looking amazing on their social media and like all of these influencers going to these like cool events. And it's like one of those things where I started feeling like I was comparing myself to a lot of the people that I saw online and like their outfits and like everything. And it just made me feel like I wasn't enough and that I was behind. And it's like that age-old trap where we are just comparing ourselves to people that we see online, and because they see like they've got their whole life together. But the reality is like, I have to take a step back and be like, this is a highlight reel. Like, this is not real life. Sure, there are probably some fun things about their life, but there's probably a lot of bad things about their life that they choose not to show us. So I just wanted to say, if anybody else is feeling this way at the moment, just comparing yourself on social media, please do yourself a favor, put your phone down, go outside and just enjoy your life, because there is so much to be grateful for with our lives. And remember that social media is a trap. It is designed to keep you on there and comparing yourself to other people. So today we are talking about something I know every single one of you has experienced. I have experienced it, and I see it all the time with my clients. And it's that cycle where Monday to Thursday you are absolutely locked in. You're eating well, drinking your water, hitting your steps, feeling proud of yourself, and you're like, wow, I've got this. I am that girl. And then Friday rolls around and somebody mentions tacos or a wine or a quick dinner out. And suddenly it is like, who even is she? Vegetables, never heard of them. Structure, gone. And by Sunday night, you're probably thinking, okay, cool, I'll just start again on Monday. And the frustrating part is it's not because you actually don't care. We just do this thing to ourselves where we self-sabotage. So today I wanted to unpack what's actually going on here and the psychology behind why eating out feels so tempting, especially when you are already doing so well, and why we seem to self-sabotage right when the progress starts to show. I want to also talk about how to balance your plate and your life in a way that doesn't feel restrictive, exhausting, or like you are constantly starting over. This episode isn't about telling you to never eat out, by the way. I love a meal out. It's about understanding your brain, your energy, and your habits so you can work with yourself instead of fighting yourself every single week. But let's start with the basics, because I think that we overcomplicate healthy eating way too much. We look at all these people online with their aesthetic meal prep containers and think, I can't do that. But look, if you can remember a few simple proportions, you can eat healthy anywhere. So I'm going to talk about the plate method. So if you imagine your plate, just visually split it down the middle. So half, 50% is for high volume things. That's like spinach, broccoli, roasted carrots. It's basically your volume food. So anything that will be high in volume and lower in calories. So what it does is it actually fills your stomach up so you don't feel like you're starving 20 minutes later. And then take the other half and split it. So about 25% is your protein. So that's your chickens, your tofu, steak, fish. And that's actually the anchor of your plate. And then you've got 20% for your energy. So this is carbs. So like potatoes, rice, sweet potatoes, quinoa. And the last part is the actual part that people tend to miss the most, because they've got this thing ingrained in them that they're in the no oil crowd. You need that final 5% of healthy fats. And I know that there is a lot of noise out there saying fats are the enemy, but if you leave them off your plate, you are going to be white knuckling your willpower by 4 p.m. While veggies fill up your stomach physically, healthy fats are actually what keeps you satisfied in your brain. So it is the difference between feeling full and feeling satisfied. I always used to be so confused when I was told don't eat nuts, they're so high in calories. And then when I was first trying to lose weight, I couldn't understand why there were always nuts in my meal plan. I just didn't get it. But we actually need the fats for our hormones and our brain health. And it's actually a big one to actually absorb the vitamins in those veggies that you're eating. Vitamin A, D, and E, and K are all fat soluble. So that means if you eat a dry salad with no oil or avocado, you're basically wasting half the nutrients you paid for. So add that small portion of avocado, drizzle some extra light virgin oil, or just toss on some seeds. It slows down your digestion so you don't get that massive sugar crash either. And it's the missing piece that makes the meal actually hold you over until you're next on. So I think next time that you're having a meal, actually try and add some healthy fats in it, and you're going to see the biggest difference. So I understand that it's easy to do that in your kitchen when everything is in control. But the real thing of healthy eating is actually out at the restaurant. So why is it the second that we open a menu, our goals just fly out the window? There's actually some science here, and don't be too hard on yourself. Restaurants use something called hyperpalatability. They hit that bliss point of salt, sugar, and fat that literally tells your brain to keep eating even when your stomach is full. And then there's also that social mirroring effect. If I'm out with you and you order the deep fried mozzarella sticks, my brain goes, oh, we're doing that. Cool. I'll get the bacon burger. The same actually goes with the way around. Like if you are out eating with a friend and she's like, I'm going to get the chicken salad, your brain naturally is like, well, maybe I should be eating healthier too. I might get a salad as well. It's so funny. Like we actually want to belong, so we eat with the people around us. And it's really funny because this actually leads into the self-sabotage spiral, which is one of my favorite things to talk about because it's psychological. It's the what the hell effect. And that thing is so real. It's when you have the one piece of bread from the basket and you think, well, I've already messed up my diet. I may as well order the pasta, 3 margaritas, and the cheesecake. If you had a flat tire, you wouldn't pop your other 3 tires just because you got one flat, right? But we do this with our food all the time. We treat a single meal like a failure instead of just a meal. So how do we fix it? Here are my chatting over coffee tips for your next night out. First is the first order rule. This is a game changer. Now, I want you to be the first person to tell the server what you want. If you sit there and listen to 3 people order the carbonara, your willpower is going to erode like a sandcastle in the tide. Decide what you want to order before you even get to the restaurant. Look at the menu online and speak up first. You'll be amazed how much easier it is to stay on track when you aren't influenced by everyone else's cravings. Now, once you've nailed that first order, I have another strategy for you that makes socializing feel like a win instead of a sacrifice. I call it the 2 out of 3 rule. Let's be honest, the reason diets feel like a prison sentence is the restriction. You go out and you think you can't have anything fun. But in the real world, you can usually have a fun element without blowing your goals. You just can't have all of them at once. When you look at a standard dinner out, there are usually 3 main extras: the drinks, the appetizers, or that dangerous breadbasket, and the dessert. Here is the rule. Choose 2. If you're dying for a glass of red wine and you know that chocolate cake is calling your name, cool, do it, but skip the breadbasket and the fried calamari. If you're starving and want appetizers and a cocktail, skip the dessert by picking 2. You're still participating in the feast and you're still enjoying the flavors, but you aren't crossing the line that is the total calorie blowout. It keeps you in the game and it makes you feel like a normal person out with friends rather than the person on a diet. Picking at a plain chicken breast while everyone else is having a blast, it's not fun. It's just about being the constant curator of the treats rather than a passive victim of the menu. And I want you to pause here and touch on something much deeper because it's the part that literally changed my life and the way I look in the mirror. A lot of us self-sabotage ourselves, not because we're weak and not because we don't want it, but because we're scared of actually succeeding. I know that this sounds wild. Why would anyone be scared of being healthy? But think about the weight of that change. If you actually reach your goals, if you transform your body and your energy, you have to show up differently in the world. You lose your shield. Sometimes we use our weight or our struggle as a way to stay small or have an excuse for why we aren't chasing that promotion or that relationship. If you succeed, people are going to look at you differently. Your friends might treat you differently. You might set boundaries you've never had the courage to set before. There is this weird twisted comfort in that cycle of starting Monday. It's familiar. And you know how to be the person who is trying, but to be the person who has succeeded, that is a whole new territory. And it's a new identity. And sometimes we eat the cake to stay in the version of ourselves that we already know how to handle. I know that sounds crazy, but it's actually a thing. But this is exactly why the 80-20 rule is your best friend. It's the bridge between your old self and your new life. Look at the math. If you eat 3 meals a day, that's 21 meals a week. If 17 of those meals follow the balance 50-25-20 plate we talked about with the fiber, the protein, the carbs, and those healthy fats that keep your brain happy, then those other 4 meals, they are Friday night pizza, Saturday birthday cake, Sunday brunch mimosas. They literally do not matter in the grand scheme of things. Your body is a reflection of what you do constantly, not what you do occasionally. We have to stop treating our health like a glass vase that shatters the moment we have one off meal. It's more like a garden. If you water it 80% of the time, a few days of heat isn't going to kill the plants. When you embrace 80-20, you take the power away from the sabotage. So here's your homework for the week. I want you to go out, yes, to a restaurant, but I want you to practice being the first order and those other tips we just spoke about. I also want you to try and balance your plate, so focus on that 50-25-25 rule. It's not about being perfect, remember, it's just about being intentional. You've got this and you are not starting over on Monday. Thank you for hanging out with me today. If this helped you, please do me a favor and give the episode a like and the show a rating. That would be absolutely amazing. It's how this podcasts grow, and I will see you in the next episode.